saving the interest of the phenomena of Aragnes. Um, if we have on the one side Energia, or uh, that which is empirical, um, as hemoglobin is empirical, as objects which cast shadows are empirical, as that which further and further becomes a kind of madness, um, equivalent to the Megarian position of old. Um, against the Megarian position, the position of Dynamis is taken by Aristotle in his Metaphysics Theta. We see there the claim that against some kind of notion associated with Popper, who denied the possibility of verification. So no matter how many times you touch stone, expecting that it has this dunamis of solidity, and that it will, if you strike it a blow, it will hurt. Expecting this solidity, it has that dunamis. Popper says you always have to check the dunamis against the current Energia, or in the modern form of the word energy, the actual thing. The action. Perhaps it's more in keeping with quantum physics to speak of the action in the sense of quantum of action. So the Megarians really substantially have a position very similar to that of Popper's, and I think in Popper's full formulation, what he's really singling out is what is the standard for knowing whether you have a scientific question or not a scientific question, and that's whether there's some place where you could test the distinction between the energy and the dynamic possibility. If you have such a site where you could say something like, if I strike a blow this stone, it will be painful, because the stone has this dunamis of causing pain and of giving physical force resistance to the energy, or to the thing that's there, to the empirical object. So this contest, we should superimpose the contest between Aristotle and the Megarians over the vanishing point of sheer empiricism, as first suggested by Hume's phenomenology, probably the phenomenology, although Heidegger brings it back to Aristotle. But I think the phenomenology is Hume's so-called fictionalism, whereby he claims all dunamis is false, and one of probably right near the core of all possibility is cause and effect, the very concept of cause and effect, which somehow overlap with the notion of possibility. They're not the same, but they somehow move at about the same plane of existence. So therefore, Aragnes allows us to enter into this and ask simple questions like Aristotle asked. Does the man that we call an architect actually always have this dunamis, or possibility of designing a building? Because if that's what an architect is, And then, of course, if we add a little common sense, we can realize there's some sense to Popper's side of it, because the man may be dead drunk or intoxicated, Roush, and he might not be able to serve in any beyond. He could get close to Levius Woods or something, theoretical buildings that can never be built, but he probably won't be able to give you a working Rishtish, a proper architectural drawing that could be used in any way, right? So there's sometimes when somebody has a supposed capacity, their capacities for architecture are there because they've mastered that technique. They're technicians of that field, or artisans of that field. They have the art of building architecture. Nonetheless, under certain conditions, maybe when they're asleep or just waking up from a deep sleep, maybe then also they're incapable of this. They have to yawn and rouse a little bit, otherwise they can't. So still, they could have it on the whole, but not have it at certain moments. And so then you could see already there's a sense in saying, oh, we have to keep testing this and testing it again to see if this Energia is actually also the Dynamis that's supposed to go with it. So this is one of the points where Heidegger is thinking the Frage in his metaphysics data right on top of a question in Aristotle, which seems to be a very core question, like just not at all particular, but very close to the basic categories or patterns in the kaleidoscope of reality. Not a specific question about if you were going to leap into the blue Danube near Vienna, what kind of fish would you find there, or something like that. It's somehow a question which I'm only reminded, I can only say maybe on the negative side of this, of Isaiah Berlin's saying, what does profound mean? It seems to have some metaphor on the image of a well, a deep well, and looking down and seeing a reflection of the moon or so. But that's one possible place to find Lichtung or Aragnes as near this kind of question, I believe.